When Joan opened her mother's letter, she discovered a secret that would change everything she knew about her family and herself. Joan had always felt like the invisible twin. Her sister Emily was their father's favorite, smart, beautiful, and perfect in every way. Joan, on the other hand, was the one who struggled in school, the one who got pregnant at 16, and the one their father barely acknowledged. After their mother, Eleanor, passed away, Joan was tasked with cleaning out her room. Among the old clothes and dusty boxes, she found a sealed envelope with her name on it. The handwriting was her mother's. Joan sat on her mother's bed, the envelope trembling in her hands. The room was filled with memories, photos of Emily's achievements, but barely any of Joan's. She took a deep breath and opened the letter. The letter began, "My dearest Joan, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you. There's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you years ago. You are not your father's daughter." Joan's heart raced as she read on. Her mother revealed that Joan was the product of a brief affair with an old boyfriend, a man Joan had never met. Her mother had kept this secret her entire life, fearing the consequences. Joan learned that her biological father, Thomas, lived in a small town a few hours away. Determined to uncover the truth, she decided to track him down. When Joan met Thomas, she was struck by how much they looked alike. Through their conversations, she learned about her mother's past, her struggles, and the love she had for Joan despite everything. Joan returned home and confronted her twin sister, Emily. At first, Emily was shocked, but eventually the sisters reconciled, realizing that their mother's love had always been there, hidden but unwavering. Joan decided to stay in touch with Thomas, building a relationship with him while also strengthening her bond with Emily. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it can also set you free. On her 18th birthday, Sarah received a letter from her late father, a promise he made before he died, one that would change her life forever. Sarah's father had always been her hero. Even though he passed away when she was just 5 years old, she clung to the few memories she had of him, his laughter, his stories, and the way he would promise her the world. On her 18th birthday, Sarah's mother handed her a sealed envelope. "Your father wanted you to have this," she said. Inside was a letter and a small key. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, the envelope in front of her. She could feel her heart pounding as she opened it and began to read. "My dear Sarah, if you're reading this, it means you're all grown up. I made you a promise long ago, and now it's time to fulfill it. This key will lead you to a treasure I left for you. Follow the map, and you'll find it. Love, Dad." The map led Sarah to a safety deposit box in a bank she had never heard of. Inside was a deed to a piece of land, a small cabin by a lake. Sarah's father had bought the cabin years ago, dreaming of a place where they could spend summers together. Sarah traveled to the cabin, which was in disrepair, but still standing. Inside, she found old photos, journals, and even a video message her father had recorded for her. Through these discoveries, Sarah learned about the man her father was and the dreams he had for her. She decided to restore the cabin, turning it into a place where she could honor his memory. Sarah spent the next few months fixing up the cabin, creating new memories while keeping her father's spirit alive. A father's love never dies. It lives on in the promises he keeps. So, my dad is the vice president of a really big corporation, and a few months back I was kind of forced to accompany him to a really fancy party. It was mostly boring, stuffed, and full of old men in suits. As my dad and I continued meeting people, I came across a friend of his. So I was speaking to him when I noticed his drop-dead gorgeous daughter. I'll keep their names anonymous for now, so she and I started talking. She was the only other person my age, and I didn't mind talking to a girl that pretty. Our conversations eventually grew deeper, and we spoke about our interests and passions. She is into marine biology, while I am into human biology, anatomy particularly. We eventually got bored of the atmosphere. How long can two late teens enjoy a boring party like that? Outside, the swimming pool and the gardens were beautiful, and I asked her to accompany me on a walk. As we continued speaking, we failed to notice the time. Then voila, it's already 11 p.m. We decide to head back inside. We sat down at one of the tables, began to eat. I don't even remember what I ate. I was too into looking at her like an idiot. Our conversation deepens, and we move to more intimate topics like love. I remember she asked me if I believed in love at first sight, to which I responded affirmatively. Well, I told her about my exes who broke my heart many times, and that I'm kind of scared to fall in love. I'll share my love story with my exes later. I remember how she said, life is a challenge, you know. You should never stop to love. I mean, you never know where these risks take you. Gosh, I started blushing. Anyways, as the night came to an end, we said our goodbyes, exchanged numbers, and left. Over the course of the next few days, we kept texting nonstop. She was from another country, and I got to know that she would be leaving in a few days. My heart dropped so bad. We met at one last office party. This was a slightly more lively environment. We headed out and walked outside. She said, I missed you a teeny tiny bit. I replied with, you have no F asterisk in idea how much I missed you. My friends are annoyed at how much I kept telling them about you. Texting you just added to the anticipation. I hug her and say, I'm gonna miss you when you leave. And she goes, oh, hey, chill, man, we can be in touch over phone. I nodded and then asked her out. We kissed under the setting sun. It was straight out of a movie. She did end up leaving, but we still maintain long distance, hoping she returns one day. Please ignore my mistakes, guys. I'm sorry we met on a train. This past summer, I went on the trip of a lifetime. I flew to Toronto and explored Canada for 2 weeks. I took the train round trip up to Montreal, and I went over to Niagara Falls for the third time. The main reason I flew to Canada was to board the VIA rail train from Toronto to head out to Vancouver. It took us about 100 hours to cross on the second day of the trip. In the dome car, I ran across a beautiful blonde woman from Germany. We ended up chatting up there for quite a few hours. We stayed up just talking about everything, about my experiences in Germany a year earlier, and about our mutual solo adventures around the world. Never in my life have I had so much fun getting to know somebody. When you meet the right person and it clicks, it just gives you such a warm feeling. That first night, we stayed up till 1 a.m. just talking in the dome. We had the chance to get off the train to explore the Winnipeg train station, but we both just stayed up in the dome. I did not want to leave our deep, meaningful conversation, and she didn't either. We ended up chatting many more times and had a few meals together during the rest of the train trip. Our trips were very similar. Mine was Canada, Australia, and hers was Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand once we got into Vancouver. We all split ways after the train ride was over. We, of course, connected through WhatsApp. The following day, when I was scheduled to fly to Australia, I got an email from the airline saying that my extra legroom seat was canceled because they had no record of me purchasing it, but they were going to give me a refund, so I was fuming mad. I went to the airport really early and got a hold of an airport manager for Air Canada. They ended up giving me $15 off a new seat. I wanted to tell them where they could stick it, but I did not want to get kicked off the plane. But this is where fate stepped in again. Once I completed getting my ticket situated for my flight to the land down under, I got a message from the beautiful German lady that she was also at the airport waiting for her car rental to explore Canada a few more weeks. We were in separate food courts, so I went and asked for directions to the other one. Once I got there, I looked around everywhere and I couldn't find her, so I shot her a message and told her where I was. A few seconds later, she found me. We ended up chatting for several more hours at the airport before we both split ways for good on this trip. She went off to her car rental, and I went off to my plane to Brisbane. I shot her a message saying, "Thank you for making my day," because after all that stress of my airline ticket, I was on cloud nine being able to see her again. She said the same, that it really meant a lot to her to see me again, too. Since we only knew each other for a few days, I did not want to rush and go in for a kiss. I asked her if she would be okay if I gave her a hug. This works to my advantage because I'm going to step out and go for it when I see her in the spring. So we ended up sharing all of our stories of the rest of our trips after this. I shared everything from Australia. I got to ride a camel. I went to the top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I got to go to the world famous Australia Zoo. I got to ride 4 trains across the entire continent. I got to go to an opal mine, a gold mine, and I got to see humpback whales just outside of the Sydney Harbour. I did so much in my month in Australia. She sent me everything she did as well. We were encouraging each other to step outside of our comfort zones and take our trips to the fullest. When I was on that whale watching tour, the ocean was really rough and people were screaming. There were people that were throwing up from the motion, sickness, and some of these waves were pretty vicious. I was scared we were going to capsize. She was sharing stories with me about her childhood when her grandfather taught her to swim in the Atlantic Ocean in Spain. I encouraged her when she was in New Zealand that she needs to step outside of her comfort zone and paraglide. At first she was hesitant, but then she actually did it and had the time of her life. We both did a lot in our journeys. Near the end, we both agreed I could come in April 2025 to reconnect with her in Germany. So I bought an airline ticket and I'm flying out to see her. We don't talk much nowadays, but that's because we're both busy. She just messaged me over Christmas to say Merry Christmas and to finalize some of our plans for my visit. I told her the 2 things I want to do. She gave me a full comprehensive list of what to do during my 10-day visit. And I told her I want her to choose what we do because I want to see Munich and Germany through her eyes. It's like this song, The Long Way, by Brett Eldridge. I want to see where she grew up. I want to see what made her who she is today. This story still feels like a fairy tale. I wasn't even looking when I found her, but I hear that's when it usually happens. I am excited beyond belief to fly out in April, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Maybe in a few years I would move overseas, but gonna take it one step at a time. It just might be the start of something good. I have a stuffed kangaroo and an opal necklace for her that I purchased in the Australian outback. Had to bring a little piece of Australia to give to her. You know you're in love when you can't fall asleep, because reality is finally better than your dreams. Dr. Seuss. Falling in love with him felt like stepping into a dream I didn't want to wake from. His laughter was a melody I didn't know I needed. His hands a map, leading me to places I had long forgotten within myself. In his presence, I felt complete, like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. We loved recklessly, unapologetically. Each touch, each shared laugh, each whispered secret carved itself into my soul. He wasn't just someone I loved. He was someone I adored, every inch of him. From the curve of his smile to the way his voice softened when he spoke my name. But our love existed in a world that wasn't kind to it. Doubts from others began to seep in, whispers that cast shadows over what we knew to be true. Slowly, the outside world chipped away at the haven we had built together. A question for the reader. Have you ever felt a love so consuming that it made the world seem brighter, only to watch it dim under the weight of external pressures? Chapter 2. Souls that recognize each other. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Emily Bronte. There was a knowing between us, one that existed before words, before touch. It was in the way his presence quieted the noise of the world, the way his eyes seemed to recognize a part of me I had never revealed. Loving him felt like remembering something I had forgotten, a home I didn't know I had been searching for. Even now, I feel him in the quiet moments, in the spaces where memory lingers. His laughter, his strength, even his flaws, they are all etched into me, as though our souls were always meant to intertwine. A question for the reader. Have you ever met someone whose presence feels like a homecoming, even when life pulls you apart? Chapter 3. The Catalyst of Connection. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Eden Abez. Some loves are quiet, soft places to rest. Ours was different. It was fire, a force that burned away the layers of who we thought we were and revealed who we were meant to become. His love wasn't easy, but it was honest. It made me face the parts of myself I didn't want to see, the parts I didn't know how to change. It wasn't just love, it was transformation, a catalyst that forced me to grow into someone braver, stronger, and more capable of loving deeply. A question for the reader. Have you ever experienced a love that challenged you to grow, even when it was painful? Chapter 4. Love Beyond the Scene. Love is the force that transforms and improves the soul of the world. Paulo Coelho. His love wasn't just something I felt, it was something I believed in. It transcended the physical, existing in the quiet spaces where words weren't needed. There were times in prayer when I felt him, moments when my connection to the divine felt intertwined with my connection to him. It was as though our souls were bound by something greater, something eternal. Souls tend to go back to who feels like home, in our heart. Even now, his energy lingers. It is in the warmth of memories, in the moments when I feel the world quiet around me. His love didn't just touch my heart, it awakened my soul. A question for the reader. Have you ever felt a connection so deep it seemed to transcend explanation, binding you to something greater than yourself? Chapter 5. The Memory of Touch. Touch has a memory. John Keats. His touch wasn't just a sensation. It was a story, a promise, a moment of connection that words could never capture. Every time his hand brushed mine, it was as though time stood still. There was a language in his touch, one that spoke of safety, passion, and belonging. Even now, his touch lingers, an echo I carry with me, a memory that refuses to fade. A question for the reader. Have you ever felt a touch so profound that it stayed with you long after the moment passed? Chapter 6. Love worth fighting for. Sometimes the greatest act of love is to fight for it even when it feels impossible, unknown. Love, when it's real, is never easy. Ours was tested by the weight of the world, by expectations, doubts, and the fear of what we could lose. But his love wasn't fragile. It was steady, unwavering, even when the odds were stacked against us. It was through his fight that I saw the depth of his love. He bore the scars of our struggles, not as marks of pain, but as proof of resilience. And in fighting for me, he taught me what love truly means. It is not the absence of hardship, but the courage to face it together. A question for the reader. Have you ever fought for a love that felt destined? And in fighting for it, did you find not only the strength to protect it, but also the courage to grow into the person you were meant to be? Chapter 7. The Choice to Fight. Love will find a way through paths where wolves fear to prey. Lord Byron. As time stretches between us, the question lingers like a quiet echo. Will he fight for us? I have seen his strength, his resilience, the way he carries the weight of the world with quiet determination. I know the depth of his heart, the courage that lies within him. But love isn't just about knowing, it's about doing. I wonder if our love was always meant to endure this test, to see if it could bend without breaking. Perhaps this is the moment that defines us, the moment he chooses whether to fight against the tide or let it carry him away. I've done all I can. I've loved him with everything I have, shown him the depths of my heart, and held space for the possibility of a future. Now the choice is his. The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. Charles Dickens. Have you ever held on to the hope of reuniting with someone who felt like your soul's other half? And if so, what would you do if that moment finally came? Dear my beautiful Joan, I can admit you had a rough life. The man that raised you, or the man I call your father, didn't like you while he treasured your twin sister. He even allowed you to get pregnant at an early age, but that wasn't your fault, it was more mine. Let me explain. 9 months before you were born, it was the night before my wedding, so I went to a familiar place I knew very well. I went to the town where I was raised, but I didn't visit your grandparents, but instead saw an old boyfriend of mine. Both of us were polyromantic, and we spent the night together. Less than 48 hours later, after our wedding, your father and I also spent the night, and within the next 2 weeks, I was giving impressions that I was eating for more than myself. I got tested, and I found out that the rabbit died, so I started making sure I wasn't going to get into any trouble while holding my young. It wasn't until after you were born that I found out I had 2 babies. However, your father only fathered your sister. I was always ashamed of being the only polyamorous in my family. Your father never knew about it, but once I found out I had 2 babies from 2 different men, I knew that God allowed me to be a polyamorous. I'm sorry our society didn't treat you well in the beginning, but I hope to see you improved in life and learn not from your birth family, but from growing your own family. I know you will love them as much as I loved you. Never doubt yourself or your twin sister. Both of you will always have my heart, and my spirit lives on through both of you. With love from your mother, Eleanor. My love story with my best friend. I only do it to let off some steam. Story. I met him, let's call him Jack, shortly after moving to my father's childhood town to live. Our mothers parked in the same place, and we started talking little by little. We're both shy, and besides, we don't go to the same course. Then I started to get to know him more, and we stayed at the high school, waiting for our siblings to go out. The school and high school have different departure times. Then we started talking and playing basketball together, his favorite sport. Then we started to get closer and get to know more, and we started the best friendship in the world. But I started to fall in love with him without even knowing it. Then on my 14th birthday, when we said goodbye, Jack kissed me on the cheek. I was very surprised and blushed because I didn't expect it. Then we saw each other almost every day together in the car. And then Jack also started the high school. He goes to 1 course less than me, and here the drama began. There was a boy we'll call Dylan. Dylan was Jack's friend. Dylan didn't like me being with Jack at all and trying to separate us. How? Inventing the biggest lie possible. He left the following year to the USA. We're from Spain. And guess what? Jack believed it and stuck to it like a booger. I always saw them together. It seems that Dylan spells him or something. And I was dying of jealousy until they went out together once, and that was that. I was dying of jealousy. I didn't believe it at all. And I tried to tell Jack the truth. And he told me that Dylan is his friend and will be with him until the end. That destroyed me, and I didn't talk about it again with him. Then the truth was discovered, and Dylan ended up being a false infidel who deceived everyone, and he hated me for the mere fact that I was gay. Summer began, and Jack, his brother, and I went out together every day while his mother, who was pregnant, was preparing for the baby. Every day I fell in love and got closer to Jack. We hugged, played, and even shook hands until the day came when Jack wanted to confess something to me. Would him finally confess his feelings? No, because he revealed to me that he was in love with my twin sister and worst enemy. This complicated things a lot, but try not to let it affect me. Then my birthday, 16, arrived, and the three of us, Jack, his brother, and I, met to celebrate it, and it was a day full of drama. We went up to my house for a moment to get changed, and Jack gave us presents for me and my sister. It was very uncomfortable to see that the boy you've been liking for years is in love with your twin sister. Then we went and started walking, and in the place where we were going to have dinner, we met Dylan. Jack was angry with him, and so was I, and we decided to go eat somewhere else. But because there were parties in my town, everything was full, and in a bad mood, we went to where Dylan was. Luckily, he went and ordered the pizzas to go to eat where we played basketball, but the pizza was uncut, and we had to go up to Jack's house where Jack and his brother argued about whether or not to go home. Also, because Jack's brother was very stressed because the day next was the first year of his university career. I could see how Jack let a tear fall while the three of us were eating pizza. Little by little, the fight got smaller, but often a birthday and farewell to my other best friend and possible brother-in-law. When everything calmed down, it was already 11 at night, and Jack offered to accompany me downstairs. Jack almost fell down the road, and luckily I grabbed him from the waist. His skin was so soft that I never wanted to peel off. Jack hugged me and apologized for the most unexpected birthday. The next day I saw Jack again this time, and the first time just the two of us, like a date. We were talking about several things, including our feelings. Him for my sister and I, not being able to tell him the truth. I made up a pretty big lie that I liked my friend and classmate, Clara. Seriously, when I was about to tell him my feelings, we got a little closer, and in the end, he kissed me on the cheek for the second time in his life, and the classes started again. We began to distance ourselves more, and all my classmates began to bully me. We stopped meeting and seeing each other, and his little brother was born in November. His brother studied at the university, and we didn't see each other much anymore, at least not like before. And since they were my only friends, it destroyed me. Christmas comes, and a plot twist takes place. A girl confesses that she is in love with him, and when I thought it was the end, he rejects her. Luckily, I felt a weight on my shoulders, and we went out together again to play basketball. But behind the lie that I liked Clara, the ball got bigger. And I said to myself, I can't postpone this any longer. I told my friends that I was going to confess to Clara, and I took the opportunity to tell Jack that I needed to talk to him. I shook his hand and shyly told him that I liked him a lot, and it was to be expected that I refused because he is not gay, and he worried about me because of my broken heart. I also confessed that they bullied me and told me to tell my parents. I don't have a nice relationship with them, so I couldn't tell the whole truth. Unfortunately, the story ends here, but I'm sure there are more surprises to come. Will I finally be able to conquer the boy I was in love with for 4 years? Vote for an update. Falling in love with my best friend. Long story. Long I'm 18, almost 19, and my best friend, now partner, is nearly 20. We met in early 2022 and have been pretty much inseparable since. We have had our falling outs and fights and so on, but every single time we found our way back to each other. Before meeting my partner, I was friends with this person. We will call them O. So I was friends with O, and they one day asked me if I wanted to join this group chat with O and a couple other friends of theirs. I was new to the school I was going to as well as the area in general. So I, of course, said yes, excited for the opportunity to make new friends. In it, I met who would eventually become my partner. We will call them July. One day, a few people, including July and myself, planned a day to all meet each other and hang out. I was super excited. We all hung out, and I met July and a couple other friends. I remember really liking being around July in general, just thoroughly enjoying their company. A few months a year into our friendship, we had briefly hooked up, what we called our doomed fling, and afterwards had a falling out. After about 2 months of not talking, I reached out and rekindled our friendship as long as I can remember. I've had an attraction to July. Not always necessarily romantic, but I was definitely drawn to them and their energy. July always was there for me with everything I needed, and I did the same for July. Sometime in early August of 2024, I was hospitalized for mental health issues, and July was the only one to visit me besides my mom, or let me clarify, the only one I allowed to visit me besides my mom. They'd visit every day they could, and I think that's when I truly, fully realized that I'm in love with this person. I mean, helplessly in love. What really opened my eyes to the feelings I held was the hug they gave me the first time they saw me since being hospitalized. It was this tight, warm, loving hug that made me feel home when I haven't had that true feeling of home in a long time. When I got out of the hospital, I confessed my feelings. And after a lot of decisions and thought about if I wanted to risk the best friendship I ever had for love, I asked them to be my partner. Note that beforehand, July had been extremely clear on their feelings for me and the fact that they do have romantic feelings for me. They said yes, and we started our relationship. That was roughly 5 months ago. And now, due to many unfortunate circumstances and situations I personally went through, we live together in their parents' house, and I finally feel home. I'm 26F, just kind of done with how cruel love can be. I've been on both sides of dumped and the dumper. It's felt so awful leaving someone who still loved me and wanted a future. I was most recently dumped by my ex, and he said some reasons like, we're going in different directions life-wise and not right for each other. I was still fully in love, and I just know that the reasons he gave me are just things you say to avoid the real reason. You're just not interested, sir, in love with the person anymore. I miss my life with him very much and wish I could go back. But at the same time, I understand that it's not his fault, and he has a right to feel the way he feels. I feel bad for him because I know how much it sucks to break someone's heart. I think I'm just so hopeless about love now. It just seems so fickle and cruel. I hate the idea of hurting someone else or being hurt again. Also, hearing of today's dating culture, I just can't even get myself to have any hope. I've never even tried a dating app, just feel this deep hole in my chest. Anybody have happy ending love story to share? I feel like love should maybe have its ups and downs, and we give up too easily these days. I don't know. Happy stories only plies. It might cure my depression. My story. Long, the most tragic love story you'll read. I need help. I just want to say at first I tried to convince myself not to post on here, but after reading the heartwarming comments on other people's posts, I'd really appreciate some advice. I will say, though, this is a really long and deep story, so only read it if you want to. I don't want to force my trauma on anyone. I was in a long-distance relationship with someone I originally met online roughly 6 or 7 years ago. We were together, as in romantic lovers, for just over a year. Before then, we had never met, but were still very close friends online. Before we'd actually met, although we were young and questioning the world, we'd always have insightful conversations about random intellectual topics such as social issues and commentaries. I'm not even sure why we'd do this, but every time we'd connect, it'd be to discuss the world, what's wrong with it, and our perspectives on it. We'd go months without texting each other, but when we'd end up reconnecting, all the same familiar feelings would return, whether it was email, WhatsApp, letters. We'd always find a way to connect after a while. To be honest, looking back, we did fantasize about getting together, getting married, making beautiful, poetic love, but at that age, we were probably about 15, 16, and hopeless teenage romantics. We sort of accepted that it'd remain a fantasy. Anyway, we'd update each other about our separate lives, send each other updates and pictures, and we both just really found it refreshing to reconnect. We were really just two people who never really fit into mainstream culture. We didn't really like the idea of using social media or the culture of internet at all. For this reason, like I said before, we communicated through SMS or emails. It was just this string of familiarity in someone so far away, yet felt so close. Until we became adults, 18, and we decided to finally meet in person. Once we did meet, I have goosebumps as I'm writing this. Man, I'm telling you, it was like a dream. She met me at the train station, and I was greeted with this massive tree hug. She led me to the hotel I'd be staying at, and once I checked in and we went to my room, she physically could not stop smiling. It was so cute, but at the time I was also a little concerned. She literally did not stop smiling for the next hour. It was like she'd just taken some crazy drugs. Looking back, I guess she was just so overcome with joy and happiness that her body elicited 8K automatic response. How cute is that? So yeah, we were hugging, kissing, holding hands, all the time waiting to finally see the person I knew so well, but had never seen in the flesh came upon us, and we were just in this bubble of happiness, warmth, and ecstasy for the next 3 days while I was there. She lived in a city a couple hundred miles away. When the first day was over, she said to me that she genuinely couldn't believe that I was real. On the third day, we had a little coffee date before I got my return train. We were just talking about life, and I think about our opinions on depression as a scientific concept against it as a societal construct. While she was talking, I saw that she had a diary in her bag, so I asked her if I could write in it. She seemed quite surprised but pleased and let me write in it. I wrote a few pages of romantic, poetic, affectionate stuff and drew her a rough biro pen picture of some flowers. Before I could show her, I remember her saying that she needed the bathroom and she'd be back in a sec. When she got back, I was pretty sure she'd looked like she'd just been crying. So I moved to her side of the table and cuddled her and asked her what was wrong. She said to me that she just wants me to know that there's some very horrible and bad men out there, and that no matter what happens between us, you really set the bar. I felt my heart skip a beat when she told me this, and the words didn't really resonate. But I told her that I'm just being me. I care about her, and I'm just treating her how I'd treat someone I deeply care about. Looking back, although I don't cry at all, it makes me quite emotional thinking about that moment. So, yeah, following that first meeting, we had a beautiful long distance relationship. She lived a couple 100 miles away, but we managed to make it work for the year. Whilst at university, I also worked all month. And when I'd get paid at the end of the month, I'd use that money to book a hotel for a few days in her city. And we'd spend time together every couple months. Everything was perfect. We were in love like a film. She was a V asterisk Ergin, completely untouched, without being too crude or sensitive, before we eventually engaged in intercourse. And every time we'd make love, it was like a picturesque dream for the both of us. As you have the picture, we were both very, very in love. There were times she'd cry, out of love for me, as she'd explain that she'd never imagined for there to be a man as good as I was to her. And she was ever grateful that I was in her life. I loved it so much we'd never go a day without communicating, texting, or calling, and she really did love me. It was quite like a Renaissance painting or a Mozart piece, seamless and formed. We weren't the average couple. We enjoyed making beautiful poetry and spent a lot of time doing things like having picnics and walking and talking. Life was just, awesome. So now the sad bit in the summer 2024, about a month after we'd last seen each other since, and when we'd just celebrated a year of being together, she'd started having doubts about me, saying that she'd lost feelings and hasn't felt the same affectionate ways she'd usually feel. Bear in mind, we were in a long distance relationship, so although it was a huge shock to hear, I assumed that the distance was just a bit much for her, so told her I'd come to see her the following week, so we'd be able to have a real conversation in person about how she was currently feeling. To my surprise, as soon as I turned up and she was in front of me, she immediately said she wanted to apologize and cried her eyes and heart out. She leant forward and leaned into me, crying into my shoulder and repeatedly saying sorry. She said that although she wasn't sure what the future would bring, she was sure that in the present moment she wanted me, and knew that for a fact. Alas, the next few days we spent rekindling our love, and she'd constantly tell me how happy she is that we're together. She was to start university in the coming September X, and we looked into the universities she'd wanted to go to together. Eventually, we found one, and although it was very far away from where I am studying, we were just happy that we were successful in getting her a place. She was ever most grateful that I was there, and kept saying to me that if I wasn't there, she wasn't sure how she'd have gotten into university at all, due to how upset she was after finding out her grades. When I left to go back home, she messaged me and said she was ever so grateful for the patience I showed, and was so grateful for our relationship. It honestly felt like we were back to normal again, our normal being this poetic and beautiful love that we both connected to each other through. Fast forward 2 weeks, she moves away to university. I move back to university too, far away though from her where I study medicine. The first week of her moving in, she doesn't respond to many of my messages nor call me at all, but I didn't think much of it because I thought I'd give her time to settle in. After the second week, she'd still continued to ignore me, so I called her a few times as I was now quite worried. She didn't answer, but she eventually texted me back after I'd texted her all night. She said she just needed to have a think and was on a walk. After not speaking to me for so long, I was so confused why her first message was this. So as her worried boyfriend, I continued to call her. She answered on the sixth attempt and simply just said to me that she'd met someone at university and it was something she'd really want to pursue. Upon hearing this, I was in a shock and said something like, "Good luck to you both," and hung up the phone. After a couple hours, I did call her back because I needed a full explanation and some closure about this situation. Just over 2 weeks ago, we'd met and were making love, and she was telling me how much she loved and cherished me. Now she was saying she'd met someone else within a week of moving to university. During the phone call, she was very brash and dismissive, and pretty much just said to me that he was her flatmate and that she was attracted to him and was no longer attracted to me anymore. She said she'd spent some time getting to know him and his background and felt an immense feeling towards him and wanted to pursue it. She said a few times that she doesn't love me anymore. And upon asking her if she was certain, she said she was certain. I was sure that if I got to see her another time, she'd change her mind. But she said to me that this time was different and that she was changing. She said she was growing and was out into the world now and just wanted to be. I wasn't sure at all what any of this meant, but I just had to accept it. I wished her luck, and she'd said she wanted to lose my phone number and asked if this was okay. I wasn't sure at all why she'd do this, but I said it's up to her. This happened over a month ago, and it's since been my birthday and also hers. I'm 20 now and she's 19. I feel very sad about it all and can't stop thinking about the beautiful times we'd shared and how she'd stepped out so suddenly. Because of the sheer nature of our relationship, I have a feeling that she'll end up feeling regretful and reaching out eventually. But part of me also thinks that that is wishful thinking. Since the phone conversation, she's not spoken to me at all, and many thoughts raced my mind the weeks after the breakup. Why would it take a week of moving out to destroy a beautiful and wonderful relationship, one we had since we were children? What's this matter about growing and being out into the world? At the time, I thought she'd made a very impulsive choice, but now I have had a few months to reflect, and I'll cite my reflections below. I still think about us a lot. Notably, none of it is sexual either. In fact, I don't think I've ever thought of her in that sort of way since she broke up with me. Nor is it that L that my mind misses and yearns for. Instead, constantly think about the pleasant times we'd had, the laughs, the giggles, calling her every day after boxing training to tell her how it went, sending her my fights, eagerly waiting to tell her that I'd won, lamenting to her when I'd lose. I can see why she did it. She's 300 plus miles away now, at the other side of the country. I'm doing a 5-year medical degree. Time just won't help us progress together. She wants to explore the world and what's in it, and I'm nobody to take that away from her at all. At the end of the day, we are still so young. I do see that. But at the same time, we had such a wonderful relationship. Sometimes I question me myself. What's wrong with me that she doesn't love me anymore? Is it me? Am I just ugly now that she's seen other men? Surely not. She's more insightful than that. But why? I'm a boxer. I've come up from poverty, and now I'm going to be a doctor. Surely she would want such a man. Don't get me wrong. I've had ample opportunity to pursue other people, but my mind repels me from it. I don't know what to do. And sometimes I want to call her to reconnect. Other times I think to leave it and to let her live her life and get her degree. Should I make contact? Maybe she regrets it now. Who knows? When Mia, a compassionate young woman, encounters a beggar on the streets, she makes a choice that will change her life forever. A simple act of kindness, a warm meal, and a listening ear unleashes a series of events that lead her to discover love, friendship, and a hidden world of possibilities she never knew existed. Mia Thompson was a bright, ambitious college student with dreams of becoming a social worker. She spent her days attending classes, volunteering at local shelters, and working part-time at a cafe to support her education. Despite her busy schedule, Mia always found time to help others, believing that small acts of kindness could make a significant difference in the world. One chilly afternoon, as she walked home from class, Mia noticed a man sitting on the sidewalk, wrapped in tattered blankets. His face was weathered, and his eyes held a deep sadness that tugged at her heart. She had seen him before, but today something compelled her to stop. "Hi there," Mia said softly, kneeling beside him. "Are you okay?" The man looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "I'm just trying to stay warm," he replied, his voice hoarse. "It's been a rough few days." Mia felt a pang of empathy. "Would you like something to eat? I can grab you a sandwich from the cafe." He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "That would be nice, thank you." Mia rushed to the cafe, her heart racing with a mix of urgency and compassion. She ordered a hearty sandwich and a hot cup of coffee, paying with her meager earnings. As she returned to the man, she felt a sense of purpose wash over her. "Here you go," she said, handing him the food. "I hope this helps." The man's eyes widened with gratitude as he took the sandwich. "Thank you, miss. You have no idea how much this means to me." Mia smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "It's just a small gesture. Everyone deserves a little kindness." As they talked, Mia learned that his name was Jack. He had fallen on hard times after losing his job and had been living on the streets for several months. Their conversation flowed easily, and Mia found herself captivated by his stories of resilience and hope. "Sometimes I think people forget that we're all human," Jack said, his voice filled with emotion. "A little kindness can go a long way." Mia nodded, her heart aching for him. "I believe that too. That's why I want to help people like you." After their conversation, Mia said goodbye to Jack, promising to return with more food and supplies. As she walked home, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had made a connection that day, one that would change her life in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Over the next few weeks, Mia made it a point to visit Jack regularly. She brought him food, warm clothes, and even books to read. Their friendship blossomed, and Mia found herself looking forward to their conversations. Jack's wisdom and perspective on life inspired her, and she felt a sense of fulfillment in helping him. However, Mia's life was not without its challenges. Balancing school, work, and her newfound friendship with Jack was exhausting. She often found herself staying up late to study, sacrificing her sleep to ensure she could help him. But despite the fatigue, she felt a sense of purpose that fueled her determination. One evening, as Mia sat in her small apartment, she received a call from her mother. "Mia, we need to talk," her mother said, her voice tense. "Your father lost his job and things are getting tight. We might need your help more than ever." Mia's heart sank. She had been trying to support her family while pursuing her dreams, and now it felt like everything was spiraling out of control. "I'll do whatever I can, Mom. Just let me know what you need." As she hung up the phone, Mia felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. She had been so focused on helping Jack that she hadn't considered the impact on her own life. But deep down, she knew she couldn't abandon Jack, not when he needed her the most. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions for Mia. She juggled her responsibilities at school, her part-time job, and her commitment to Jack. Each visit to the park brought her joy, but it also weighed heavily on her heart as she struggled to balance everything. One day, as Mia approached the park, she noticed a small crowd gathered around Jack. Her heart raced as she pushed through the onlookers, worried something had happened. When she reached the front, she found Jack sitting on the ground, surrounded by a few people who were handing him money and food. "Jack!" Mia called out, rushing to his side. "Are you okay?" He looked up, a smile breaking across his face. "Mia, I'm fine. These folks were just being kind. They saw me here and wanted to help." Mia felt a mix of relief and confusion. That's wonderful, but you don't have to accept charity from strangers. I'm here for you. Jack chuckled softly. I appreciate that, but sometimes it's nice to let others help too. It reminds me that there's still goodness in the world. As they talked, Mia noticed a woman in the crowd who seemed particularly interested in Jack. She was dressed in business attire, her expression serious yet compassionate. After a few moments, she approached them. Excuse me, the woman said, addressing Jack. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I'm Sarah, and I work with a local nonprofit that helps people get back on their feet. Would you be interested in some resources? Jack's eyes widened with hope. Really? That would be amazing. Mia felt a surge of excitement. This is incredible, Jack. You should definitely consider it. Sarah handed Jack a brochure and explained the services they offered, including job training, housing assistance, and counseling. Mia watched as Jack's face lit up with possibilities. For the first time in a long while, he seemed genuinely hopeful about his future. After Sarah left, Jack turned to Mia, his eyes shining. This could be my chance, Mia. I've been wanting to get back to work, but I didn't know where to start. Mia felt a rush of pride for him. I'm so happy for you, Jack. You deserve this opportunity. As the days passed, Jack began attending meetings with the nonprofit, and Mia supported him every step of the way. She helped him prepare for interviews, practiced his resume, and even accompanied him to workshops. Their bond deepened, and Mia found herself falling for Jack in ways she hadn't anticipated. However, as Jack's life began to change, Mia faced her own struggles. Her family's financial situation worsened, and she found herself working extra shifts at the cafe to help support them. The stress weighed heavily on her, and she often felt torn between her responsibilities to her family and her commitment to Jack. One evening, after a long day at work, Mia returned home exhausted. She collapsed onto her bed, her mind racing with worries. Just then, her phone buzzed with a message from Jack. Hey, Mia, I got an interview tomorrow. Can you help me prepare? Mia's heart soared at the news, but she also felt a pang of guilt. Of course, I'll be there, she replied, forcing herself to push aside her fatigue. The next day, Mia met Jack at a nearby cafe, where they went over potential interview questions. As they practiced, Mia couldn't help but admire Jack's determination. He was a different man than the one she had first met on the streets. He was hopeful, driven, and ready to reclaim his life. Thank you for believing in me, Mia, Jack said, his voice filled with sincerity. I wouldn't be here without your support. Mia smiled, her heart swelling with affection. You've done all the hard work, Jack. I'm just here to help you shine. As the interview approached, Mia felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She wanted Jack to succeed, but she also feared what would happen if he did. Would he move on and leave her behind? The thought made her heart ache. On the day of the interview, Mia waited anxiously for Jack to call her with the news. When her phone finally rang, she answered breathlessly. Jack, how did it go? I got the job, he exclaimed, his voice filled with joy. They want me to start next week. Mia felt a rush of happiness for him, but it was quickly overshadowed by her own worries. That's amazing, Jack. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you, he said, his tone shifting. But I want to talk about something else, too. What is it? Mia asked, her heart racing. I've been thinking a lot about my life and what I want. I want you to be a part of it, Mia. You've changed everything for me, he confessed. Mia's heart skipped a beat. I feel the same way, Jack. You've brought so much light into my life. Then let's make this official, Jack said, his voice steady. I want to take you out on a proper date. I want to show you how much you mean to me. Mia felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension. A date? Are you sure? I mean, with everything going on. Absolutely. Jack interrupted, his tone firm. You've been my rock, and I want to explore this connection we have. I want to see where it can lead. Mia's heart raced at the thought. She had developed feelings for Jack, but the fear of losing him as he moved forward in his life loomed over her. Okay, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'd love that. As they made plans for their date, Mia felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. She wanted to enjoy this moment, but the weight of her family's financial struggles pressed heavily on her mind. She had been working extra shifts, and the exhaustion was starting to take its toll. The day of the date arrived, and Mia found herself standing in front of her mirror, nervously adjusting her outfit. She wanted to look perfect for Jack, but the stress of her life made it hard to focus. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that this was a chance to enjoy something beautiful amidst the chaos. When Jack arrived to pick her up, he looked dapper in a crisp shirt and jeans. Wow, you look amazing, he said, his eyes lighting up as he took in her appearance. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself, Mia replied, feeling her nerves ease slightly. They decided to go to a cozy Italian restaurant where they could enjoy a quiet dinner and get to know each other better. As they sat across from each other, the ambiance of the restaurant created a warm and intimate atmosphere. I can't believe how far we've come, Jack said, his gaze steady. Just a few weeks ago, I was living on the streets, and now I have a job and a chance at a new life. Mia smiled, her heart swelling with pride. You've worked so hard for this, Jack. You deserve every bit of success that comes your way. As they shared stories and laughter over dinner, Mia felt a connection growing between them. Jack's charm and sincerity captivated her, and she found herself opening up in ways she hadn't expected. They talked about their dreams, their fears, and the little things that made them who they were. But as the evening progressed, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety creeping back in. She thought about her family's struggles and the sacrifices she was making to support them. She wanted to be fully present with Jack, but her mind kept drifting to her responsibilities. After dinner, they took a stroll through the nearby park, the cool night air refreshing. As they walked, Jack reached for Mia's hand, intertwining their fingers. The simple gesture sent a thrill through her, and she felt a sense of warmth and safety in his presence. Mia, Jack said, stopping to face her, I know things are changing for both of us, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I want to support you just as you've supported me. Tears pricked at the corners of Mia's eyes as she looked into his sincere gaze. Thank you, Jack. That means so much to me. I worry about everything. My family needs me, and I don't want to let anyone down. You're doing your best, and that's all anyone can ask for, Jack replied, his voice gentle. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone. Let me help you. Mia felt a rush of emotion, overwhelmed by his kindness. I appreciate that, but I don't want to burden you with my problems. Jack stepped closer, his expression earnest. You're not a burden, Mia. You're someone I care about deeply. I want to be there for you, just like you've been there for me. In that moment, Mia realized how much Jack meant to her. He had become her confidant, her friend, and now potentially something more. But the fear of losing him, as he moved forward in his life, lingered in the back of her mind. As they continued their walk, Mia felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. Maybe, just maybe, they could navigate their challenges together. But as they reached the end of the park, a sudden commotion caught their attention. A group of people had gathered around a man who was shouting angrily. Mia's heart, Mia's heart raced as she and Jack approached the scene. The man was clearly agitated, waving his arms and shouting at a couple who were trying to walk past him. "You think you're better than me? Just because you have money?" he yelled, his voice filled with rage. Jack instinctively stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. "Hey, let's calm down," he said, trying to defuse the situation. "There's no need for this." The man turned to Jack, his eyes wild. "What do you know about it? You think you can just tell me to calm down? You don't know what it's like to be on the streets?" Mia felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She recognized the man as someone she had seen around the park before, someone who had also fallen on hard times. "Please, let's just walk away," she urged Jack, sensing the tension rising. But Jack stood firm, his voice steady. "I understand your frustration, but yelling won't solve anything. We can talk about this." The man's expression shifted, and for a moment, Mia thought he might back down, but then he took a step closer, his anger flaring again. "You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through." Mia felt a surge of empathy for the man. "I do know what it's like to struggle," she said softly, stepping forward. "I've seen people suffer, and it's heartbreaking, but we can find a better way to communicate." The man paused, his anger faltering as he looked at Mia. "You think you can help me? You think you can fix this?" "I can't fix everything, but I can listen," Mia replied, her voice calm and sincere. "Sometimes just talking about it can help." Jack glanced at Mia, impressed by her courage. The man's expression softened slightly, and he took a step back, his shoulders slumping. I feel so lost," he admitted, his voice breaking. "I don't know what to do anymore." Mia's heart ached for him. "You're not alone. There are people who care and want to help. Let's find a way to get you the support you need." As the crowd began to disperse, the man looked at Mia, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "You really think there's hope for me?" "I know there is," Mia said firmly. "You just have to take the first step." Jack placed a reassuring hand on the man's shoulder. "We can help you find resources. There are organizations that can assist you." The man nodded slowly, tears welling in his eyes. "I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to change." Mia smiled gently. "Then let's work together to make that happen." As they exchanged contact information, Mia felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had made a difference, even if it was just a small one. But as she turned to Jack, she noticed a look of concern on his face. "Are you okay?" she asked, sensing his unease. "I'm fine," he replied, but his voice lacked conviction. I didn't expect that to happen tonight." Mia reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "You handled it well. You stood up for what's right." Jack looked down at their intertwined fingers, his expression thoughtful. "I just worry about how quickly things can escalate. I don't want to lose you, Mia." The weight of his words hung in the air, and Mia felt a pang of fear. "You won't lose me, Jack. I'm here for you, just like you're here for me." As they walked back to the car, the atmosphere shifted. Mia could sense Jack's internal struggle, and it worried her. She wanted to reassure him, but she also knew that he needed to confront his fears. "Jack, I know this is all new for you," she said softly, "but you're not alone in this. We can face whatever comes our way together." He nodded, but the tension in his shoulders remained. "I just don't want to drag you down with me. You have so much potential, and I don't want to hold you back." Mia stopped walking, turning to face him. You're not holding me back. You're inspiring me. I believe in you, Jack. You're capable of so much more than you realize. Jack looked into her eyes, searching for reassurance. What if I fail? What if I can't keep up with everything? Then we'll figure it out together, Mia replied, her voice steady. You've already overcome so much. You're stronger than you think. As they stood there, the weight of the moment hung in the air. Jack's eyes searched Mia's, and for a brief moment the world around them faded away. You really believe that? He asked, vulnerability etched in his features. I do, Mia said, her heart racing. You've shown me that you're capable of change. You've already taken the first steps, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Jack took a deep breath, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. Thank you, Mia. I don't know what I'd do without you. As they resumed their walk, Mia felt a renewed sense of hope. They had faced a challenge together, and it had only strengthened their bond. But as they reached the car, Mia's phone buzzed with a message from her mother. Mom? She answered, her heart sinking as she listened. What's wrong? Mia, we're in trouble. The landlord is threatening to evict us if we don't pay the rent by the end of the week. Her mother's voice trembled with worry. I don't know what to do. Mia's heart raced as panic set in. I'll figure something out, Mom. Just give me some time. As she hung up, she felt the weight of the world crashing down on her. Jack, I need to go. My family is in trouble. Is everything okay? He asked, concern etched on his face. No, it's not, Mia admitted, her voice shaking. We might get evicted if we can't come up with the rent. I need to help them. Jack's expression shifted from concern to determination. Let's go to your place. We can figure this out together. Mia hesitated, feeling the burden of her family's struggles. I don't want to drag you into this. You have your own life to focus on now. Exactly, Jack replied, his tone firm. And I want to be there for you. You've been there for me, and now it's my turn. With a mix of gratitude and apprehension, Mia nodded. Okay, let's go. As they drove to her apartment, Mia's mind raced with thoughts of how to help her family. She had been working extra shifts, but it still wasn't enough. The fear of losing her home loomed over her, and she felt a sense of helplessness wash over her. When they arrived, Mia opened the door to find her mother sitting at the kitchen table, her face pale with worry. Mia, I'm so glad you're here, her mother said, her voice trembling. I don't know what we're going to do. Mom, this is Jack, Mia introduced him, her heart heavy. He's been helping me, and I thought he could help us too. Jack stepped forward, his demeanor calm and reassuring. I'm here to support you both. Let's talk about what we can do. As they sat down together, Mia explained the situation. Her mother shared their financial struggles, detailing the mounting bills and the looming threat of eviction. Jack listened intently, his expression serious. I know this is tough, he said, his voice steady, but we can find a solution. Have you considered reaching out to local charities or organizations that help families in need? Mia's mother nodded, her eyes filled with hope. I've thought about it, but I didn't know where to start. I can help with that, Jack offered. I've been working with a nonprofit that assists families in crisis. They might be able to provide some resources or even help with the rent. Mia felt a surge of gratitude for Jack's willingness to help. That would be amazing, Jack. Thank you. As they brainstormed ideas, Mia felt a sense of relief wash over her. With Jack's support, they could tackle this challenge together. They made a plan to reach out to local organizations the next day, and Mia felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in weeks. After they finished discussing their options, Mia's mother looked at Jack, her expression softening. "Thank you for being here for us. It means a lot." Jack smiled warmly. "I'm happy to help. We're in this together." As the evening wore on, Mia felt a sense of camaraderie growing between them. Jack had become more than just a friend. He was now a partner in their fight for stability. And as they shared stories and laughter, Mia realized how much she had come to care for him. But as the night drew to a close, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. She had opened her heart to Jack. But what would happen if he succeeded in his new job and moved on? Would he still want to be a part of her life? Or would he leave her behind as he climbed the ladder of success? The next day, they set out to contact local charities and organizations. Jack took the lead, using his newfound confidence to navigate the resources available. Mia watched him in awe as he spoke with representatives, advocating for her family with a passion that inspired her. "Thank you for your patience," Jack said to a charity worker on the phone. "We're in a tough situation, and any assistance you can provide would be greatly appreciated." Mia felt a swell of gratitude for Jack's support. He was not only helping her family, but also showing her the power of community and connection. After several calls, they secured an appointment with a local nonprofit that specialized in housing assistance. As they walked out of the office, Mia felt a sense of relief wash over her. "I can't believe we did that," she said, her voice filled with hope. "Thank you for being so proactive, Jack." "I'm just glad I could help," he replied, a smile on his face. "We're a team, remember?" The days turned into a week, and with Jack's help, Mia's family received the support they needed to avoid eviction. The nonprofit provided them with resources, and they were able to negotiate a payment plan with their landlord. Mia felt a weight lift off her shoulders, and she knew she couldn't have done it without Jack. As they celebrated this small victory, Mia felt a growing connection with Jack. They spent more time together, sharing their dreams and fears, and their bond deepened. Jack's kindness and determination inspired Mia, and she found herself falling for him even more. One evening, as they sat on the couch in her apartment, Mia turned to Jack, her heart racing. "I've been thinking a lot about us," she began, her voice trembling. "I care about you, Jack, more than I ever expected." Jack looked at her, his expression serious. "I care about you too, Mia. You've changed my life in ways I can't even describe." Mia felt a rush of emotion. "But what happens when you start your new job? What if you move on and leave me behind?" Jack took her hands in his gaze steady. "I'm not going anywhere, Mia. You've been my anchor, and I want to build a future with you. I don't want to lose what we have." Tears filled Mia's eyes as she realized how much Jack meant to her. "I want that too, but I'm scared." "Fear is natural," Jack said softly, "but we can face it together. I'm committed to making this work, no matter what challenges come our way." As they embraced, Mia felt a sense of peace wash over her. They had faced adversity together, and their love had only grown stronger. She knew that whatever the future held, they would navigate it side by side. The following weeks were filled with excitement and anticipation as Jack prepared to start his new job. Mia supported him every step of the way, helping him with his resume and practicing interview questions. She felt a sense of pride watching him embrace this new chapter in his life. On the day of his first day at work, Mia wanted to do something special for him. She woke up early and prepared a hearty breakfast, complete with pancakes, eggs, and fresh fruit. As she set the table, she felt a flutter of nerves and excitement. When Jack arrived, his eyes lit up at the sight of the breakfast spread. "Wow, Mia, you didn't have to do all this." I wanted to, she replied, her heart swelling with affection. You're starting a new journey, and I wanted to celebrate it with you. As they sat down to eat, Jack shared his hopes and aspirations for the job. I want to make a difference, not just for myself, but for others who are struggling, he said, his voice filled with determination. Mia smiled, feeling inspired by his passion. You're going to do great things, Jack. I believe in you. After breakfast, they headed to the office together. Jack was nervous, but Mia reassured him. Just be yourself. You've got this. As they arrived at the building, Jack took a deep breath, his confidence wavering. What if I mess up? You won't, Mia said firmly. You've worked hard for this. Just remember why you're doing it. With a nod, Jack stepped into the building, and Mia felt a mix of pride and anxiety as she watched him go. She knew he was capable, but the uncertainty of new beginnings always brought a sense of apprehension. As the day progressed, Mia busied herself with her own responsibilities, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Jack. She imagined him in the office, meeting new colleagues, and tackling challenges head on. The anticipation of hearing about his first day filled her with excitement. Later that evening, Mia received a text from Jack. Hey, can we meet at our favorite cafe? I have so much to tell you. Her heart raced at the thought of seeing him. Of course. I'll be there in 15 minutes, she replied, her excitement bubbling over. When she arrived at the cafe, she spotted Jack sitting at a corner table, his face beaming with joy. As she approached, he stood up and pulled her into a warm embrace. You won't believe how amazing today was, he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling. Mia felt her heart swell with happiness. Tell me everything. They sat down, and Jack launched into his story. I met some incredible people, and my boss is really supportive. They even have a mentorship program for new hires, and I'm already signed up. That's fantastic, Mia said, her excitement matching his. I knew you could do it. Jack continued, and the best part? I shared my story with my team, and they were so receptive. They want to help me develop my skills and grow within the company. Mia felt a rush of pride for him. You're going to thrive, Jack. I'm so proud of you. As they talked, Mia realized how much Jack had transformed since she first met him. He was no longer just a man struggling on the streets. He was a determined individual, ready to take on the world, and she was grateful to be a part of his journey. After their conversation, Jack took a deep breath, his expression shifting to something more serious. Mia, I've been thinking a lot about us. I want to make this relationship official. I want to be with you, not just as friends, but as partners. Mia's heart raced at his words. I want that too, Jack. You mean so much to me. Then let's make it official, he said, his voice steady. I want to build a life with you, one where we support each other through thick and thin. Tears filled Mia's eyes as she nodded. Yes, I want that more than anything. They sealed their commitment with a kiss, and in that moment, everything felt right. They had faced challenges, but their love had triumphed, leading them to this beautiful moment of connection. With their relationship solidified, Mia and Jack embraced their new beginnings together. They became each other's support system, navigating the ups and downs of life hand in hand. Jack's new job brought him fulfillment, and Mia continued her studies, determined to make a difference in the world. As the weeks turned into months, they found joy in the little things. They explored the city together, attended community events, and volunteered at local shelters. Their bond deepened, and they cherished every moment spent together. One weekend, they decided to take a trip to the countryside. Mia had always wanted to experience the beauty of nature, and Jack was eager to show her the serene landscapes he loved. They rented a small cabin by a lake, surrounded by lush greenery and the sounds of chirping birds. As they settled in, Mia felt a sense of peace wash over her. "This place is incredible," she said, taking in the breathtaking view. "I can't believe we're finally here." Jack smiled, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I thought it would be the perfect getaway for us, just us and nature." They spent their days hiking, swimming, and enjoying each other's company. One evening, as the sun began to set, they sat by the lake watching the colors dance across the sky. The moment felt magical, and Mia couldn't help but feel grateful for the journey that had brought them together. "Jack," she said softly, turning to him, "I never imagined I could feel this happy. You've changed my life in so many ways." He took her hand, his expression serious. "You've changed mine too, Mia. You've shown me the power of kindness and love. I want to continue building this life with you." Mia's heart swelled with emotion. "I want that too. I want to support each other and make a difference in the world together." As they sat by the lake, the stars began to twinkle overhead, creating a breathtaking backdrop for their moment. The tranquility of the countryside enveloped them, and Mia felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. "Look at the stars," Jack said, pointing to the sky. "It's like they're shining just for us." Mia smiled, her heart full. "It's beautiful, just like this moment." Jack turned to her, his expression serious, yet tender. "Mia, I want to make a promise to you. No matter where life takes us, I will always be by your side. We'll face every challenge together, and we'll celebrate every victory." Tears filled Mia's eyes as she nodded, overwhelmed by the depth of his words. "I promise the same, Jack. We're a team, and I wouldn't want it any other way." As they leaned in for a kiss, the world around them faded away. In that moment, they were two souls intertwined, ready to embrace whatever the future held. They had both come from different paths, but together they were forging a new beginning, filled with love, hope, and purpose. The next day they returned to the city, invigorated by their getaway. With renewed energy, they continued to support each other in their respective journeys. Jack thrived in his job, and Mia excelled in her studies, both driven by their shared vision of making a difference in the world. They also began to give back to the community together. Inspired by their experiences, they organized events to raise awareness about homelessness and the importance of kindness, and they collaborated with local nonprofits, sharing their story to inspire others to take action. As they worked side by side, Mia felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond her own aspirations. They were creating a ripple effect of change, and it filled her with joy to see the impact they were making. One evening, as they prepared for a community event, Mia turned to Jack, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I can't believe how far we've come, from strangers to partners, and now we're making a difference together." Jack smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "It's incredible. I never would have imagined this life a few months ago. You've been my guiding light." Mia felt a rush of warmth at his words. "And you've been mine. I'm so grateful for you, Jack." As they embraced, Mia knew that their journey was just beginning. They had faced challenges, but their love had triumphed, leading them to a future filled with hope and possibility. Months passed, and Mia and Jack continued to thrive in their relationship and their efforts to give back to the community. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, and they found joy in the little moments they shared. Whether it was cooking dinner together, volunteering at local shelters, or simply enjoying quiet evenings at home, they cherished every second. One day, as they were preparing for another community event, Mia received a call from her mother. "Mia, I have some exciting news," her mother exclaimed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "What is it, Mom?" Mia asked, her curiosity piqued. "We've been approved for a housing assistance program. We won't have to worry about eviction anymore," her mother said, tears of joy evident in her voice. Mia felt a wave of relief wash over her. "That's amazing! I'm so happy for you." As she hung up the phone, she turned to Jack, her heart racing. "Mom just got the news. They're going to help us with housing." Jack's face lit up with joy. "That's incredible, Mia. You've worked so hard for this. You deserve it." Mia felt a rush of gratitude for Jack's unwavering support. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've been my rock through all of this." As they prepared for the event, Mia reflected on how far they had come. They had both faced their struggles, but together they had found strength and resilience. Their love had blossomed in the face of adversity, and they were now a force for good in their community. The day of the event arrived, and the turnout was overwhelming. People from all walks of life came together to support the cause, and Mia and Jack felt a sense of fulfillment as they shared their story. They spoke about the importance of kindness and the impact it can have on someone's life. As the event came to a close, Mia looked around at the smiling faces and felt a sense of pride. "We did this, Jack. We made a difference." Jack nodded, his eyes shining with emotion. "And we'll continue to make a difference together." In that moment, Mia felt a surge of hope and purpose. They had turned their struggles into strength, and their love had become a catalyst for change. As they stood together, surrounded by the community they had worked so hard to uplift, Mia realized that their journey was about more than just their individual successes. It was about the connections they had forged and the lives they had touched. After the event, as they packed up the supplies, Jack turned to Mia, his expression serious. "You know, I've been thinking about how we can expand our efforts. There are so many people out there who need help, and I want to do more." Mia's heart raced at the thought. "What do you have in mind?" "I want to start a mentorship program for those who are struggling just like I was. We can connect them with resources, provide guidance, and help them find their way back to stability," Jack said, his passion evident. Mia felt a rush of excitement. "That's a brilliant idea. We can partner with local organizations and create a network of support." As they brainstormed ideas, Mia felt a sense of purpose wash over her. They were not just a couple, they were a team, ready to take on the world together. Their love had become a driving force for change, and they were determined to make a lasting impact. As the weeks turned into months, they worked tirelessly to bring their vision to life. They reached out to local businesses, schools, and community leaders, sharing their ideas and seeking support. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon they had a network of partners ready to help. One evening, as they sat in their apartment, Mia looked at Jack, her heart full. "I can't believe how far we've come, from strangers to partners, and now we're creating something that will help so many people." Jack smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "It's incredible. I never would have imagined this life a few months ago. You've been my guiding light." Mia felt a rush of warmth at his words. "And you've been mine. I'm so grateful for you, Jack." As they continued to build their program, they also made time for each other. They enjoyed spontaneous adventures, weekend getaways, and quiet evenings at home. Their love deepened, and they found joy in the little moments they shared. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of their apartment, watching the sunset, Mia turned to Jack, her heart swelling with gratitude. I never imagined my life could be this fulfilling. You've changed everything for me, Jack. He took her hand, his gaze steady. And you've changed everything for me. I've learned that true success isn't measured by wealth, but by the impact we have on others and the love we share. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city, Mia leaned in closer. I want to continue this journey with you, Jack. I want to build a life together, filled with love, adventure, and purpose. Jack nodded, his eyes filled with determination. Then let's do it. Together, we can face anything. As Mia and Jack embarked on their new journey, they realized that their story could inspire others. They wanted to encourage people to take risks, to follow their hearts, and to believe in the power of kindness. Let's share our journey, Mia suggested one evening as they sat together, brainstorming ideas for their mentorship program. We could create a blog or a social media page to document our experiences and the impact we're making. Jack's eyes lit up with excitement. That's a fantastic idea. We can share our story, the challenges we faced, and how we overcame them. We can also highlight the amazing people we meet along the way. They began to outline their plans, envisioning a platform where they could connect with others who were passionate about making a difference. They wanted to create a space where people could share their stories, seek advice, and find inspiration. Over the next few weeks, they worked diligently to launch their blog and social media presence. They shared their experiences, the ups and downs of their journey, and the joy of giving back to the community. The response was overwhelming, with people reaching out to share their own stories and seek guidance. Look at this, Mia exclaimed one evening as they reviewed their social media accounts. We're already getting messages from people who are inspired by our story. Jack felt a rush of pride. This is exactly what we wanted. We're making a difference. As their platform grew, they began to host events and workshops, bringing together local artists, entrepreneurs, and individuals seeking support. They created a community that celebrated creativity, love, and resilience. Together, we can empower others to chase their dreams. Mia said, her heart full. This is just the beginning. Jack nodded, his eyes shining with pride. I can't wait to see where this journey takes us. We're building something beautiful together. As they continued to share their story and support others, Mia and Jack knew that their love was a powerful force. They had faced challenges, but they had emerged stronger, united by their dreams and their commitment to one another. One day, as they prepared for a community event, Mia turned to Jack, her eyes sparkling with excitement. What if we invite people to share their own stories at the event? We could create a space for them to express themselves and connect with others. That's a brilliant idea, Jack replied, his enthusiasm contagious. We can set up a stage for open mic sessions and encourage people to share their experiences. It could be a powerful way to foster community and inspire change. As they planned the event, they reached out to local artists and musicians, inviting them to perform and share their talents. The response was overwhelming, and soon they had a lineup of incredible individuals ready to take the stage. On the day of the event, the atmosphere was electric. People from all walks of life gathered to share their stories, and Mia and Jack felt a sense of fulfillment as they watched the community come together. The open mic sessions were filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt connections. As the event came to a close, Mia took the stage, her heart racing. Thank you all for being here today. Your stories inspire us, and together we can create a ripple effect of kindness and compassion in our community. Jack joined her on stage, his expression serious yet hopeful. Remember, no act of kindness is too small. We all have the power to make a difference, and together we can change lives. The crowd erupted in applause, and Mia felt a rush of gratitude for the journey they had taken together. They had turned their struggles into strength, and their love had become a catalyst for change. As the event wrapped up, Mia and Jack received messages from attendees expressing their gratitude for the opportunity to share their stories. They felt a sense of purpose wash over them, knowing that they were making a real impact in the lives of others. As Mia and Jack stood hand in hand, looking out at the community they had built, they felt a sense of fulfillment wash over them. Their journey had been filled with challenges, but their love had triumphed, leading them to a future filled with hope and possibility. Together, they were ready to embrace whatever life had in store, knowing that they could face anything as long as they had each other. Their story was just beginning, and they were excited to see where it would take them next, hand in hand, heart to heart. This story is a work of fiction and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The themes and characters are created to inspire compassion and understanding towards those facing challenges in life.